I don't get along very well. That's not a secret we've held. I think we're enjoying this separation.
August 21st, 2014, a date that shook the science television world to its core. After over a decade of explosive experiments, death-defying stunts, and infectious enthusiasm, three beloved faces were about to disappear from MythBusters forever. Kari Byron, Grant Imahara, and Tory Belleci, the build team that had become just as iconic as Adam and Jamie themselves, were suddenly and shockingly written out of the show. The official explanation? A creative refresh. But the real story involves budget battles, behind-the-scenes power struggles, and corporate decisions that nearly destroyed one of television's most beloved science shows. What you're about to discover will change everything you thought you knew about why the build team really had to go, and how close MythBusters came to complete collapse. The perfect storm, when success becomes a problem. To understand the build team's shocking departure, we need to go back to their incredible rise within the show. What started as occasional appearances by Kari Byron as an unpaid intern in 2003 had evolved into something much bigger. By 2014, the build team had become central to MythBusters' identity, often handling entire segments independently and developing their own massive fan following. But this success created an unexpected problem for Discovery Channel and beyond television productions. The build team's popularity meant they were no longer just supporting cast members. They had become co-stars demanding co-star treatment and compensation. Industry insiders revealed that by season 13, each build team member was earning substantial salaries, with Kari Byron reportedly making around $200,000 per season, while Grant and Tory commanded similar figures. The show's format had also evolved dramatically from its original concept. What began as Adam Savage and Jamie Hyneman's two-man operation had transformed into a five-person ensemble, requiring complex scheduling, increased insurance costs, and significantly higher production budgets. Episodes often felt rushed when trying to showcase both the main hosts and the build team, leading to less detailed scientific explanations and more superficial myth testing. The very success that made the build team beloved by fans had inadvertently created the conditions for their eventual removal. Financial pressures and corporate calculations. Behind the scenes, Discovery Channel was facing mounting financial pressures in 2014. The network was actively looking to reduce costs across multiple shows, and MythBusters, despite its popularity, wasn't immune to budget scrutiny. Sources close to the production revealed that maintaining 5 full-time hosts was significantly more expensive than returning to the original duo format. The mathematics were stark and unforgiving. Cutting 3 salaries would save the production millions over multiple seasons. When you factor in travel expenses, insurance costs, and the complex logistics of coordinating 5 personalities, the financial incentive to streamline became overwhelming. A former Discovery executive, speaking anonymously, revealed that there was a growing feeling within the network that having 5 hosts diluted the original magic of the show. The timing couldn't have been worse for the build team. While MythBusters remained popular, ratings had declined from their peak years. The show averaged about 1.5 million viewers in season 13, down from highs of over 4 million in earlier seasons. Network executives felt the show had become too formulaic, with the build team often relegated to testing simpler myths, while Adam and Jamie handled the more complex experiments. This perception, whether accurate or not, provided the justification needed for the dramatic restructuring that was about to unfold. Creative control and growing independence. By 2014, the build team had developed significant independence, both creatively and professionally. Kari Byron had written a book and was developing other television projects. Grant Imahara was working on robotics projects outside the show. Tory Belleci was involved in various film and television productions. This growing independence reportedly created tension with Beyond Television Productions, which wanted more control over the cast's outside activities. The production company was also grappling with format issues that had been building for years. Balancing screen time between 5 personalities meant that episodes often felt rushed, with great experiments getting shortened to fit everyone in. Adam Savage later reflected on this challenge, noting how having 5 people meant they had to split focus, sometimes at the expense of the detailed scientific explanations that made the show special. There were also reports of the build team feeling increasingly disconnected from major production decisions. Grant Imahara later revealed that they were often kept separate from many production choices, being informed of changes last minute and feeling like secondary cast members rather than full co-hosts. This disconnect created a growing rift between the original hosts and the build team, making the eventual separation seem almost inevitable to those watching from within the production. The network's back-to-basics strategy. Discovery Channel executives had been developing what they called a back-to-basics strategy for MythBusters. Internal memos, later leaked, suggested the network felt the show had lost its scientific credibility by focusing too much on entertainment value with the build team's segments. Network research indicated that viewers preferred the more serious, methodical approach of Adam and Jamie to the often more comedic style of the build team segments. But was this really about creative vision, or was it simply a convenient justification for a cost-cutting measure? The evidence suggests it was primarily financial. Jamie Hyneman, known for being more reserved about the show's direction, reportedly supported the decision to streamline the cast. He stated that the show worked best when they could focus on doing proper experiments rather than trying to entertain with personalities. However, the decision created an impossible situation for Adam Savage, who found himself caught between the network's decisions and his loyalty to his colleagues. He later revealed feeling torn about the situation, stating that if it were up to him, they would have found a way to make it work with everyone. The fact that Adam had no say in the decision highlights how the choice came from corporate levels far above the show's creative team. Could the network have found a middle ground that preserved both the scientific integrity they claimed to want and the beloved personalities that fans had grown to love? Contract negotiations and the final blow. The final piece of the puzzle came down to contract negotiations for Season 14. Sources revealed that these negotiations had become contentious, with the build team reportedly asking for increased creative control and higher compensation, while the network wanted to reduce their roles and pay. When negotiations stalled, Discovery made the decision to cut ties entirely rather than compromise. This decision-making process reveals the cold business reality behind television production. The build team's contracts were up for renewal, and rather than negotiate new terms that might have satisfied both parties, the network chose the nuclear option. It was a calculated risk that prioritized short-term cost savings over long-term fan loyalty and show stability. The aftermath proved that this gamble may have backfired. Season 14, featuring only Adam and Jamie, saw further ratings decline. Critics noted that episodes felt sterile and less engaging without the energy and humor the build team provided. The chemistry between Adam and Jamie, while scientifically focused, lacked the dynamic range that had made the show appointment television for millions of viewers. Perhaps most tragically, Grant Imahara's sudden death in 2020 brought renewed attention to the build team's departure and led to reflections on how the show had treated its cast members. The loss highlighted what the show had given up when it chose financial considerations over the human connections that had made MythBusters special. The build team's dismissal became a cautionary tale in reality television about how networks prioritize cost-cutting over talent retention, demonstrating the precarious nature of even successful television personalities' careers. The real reason producers wanted to replace the build team wasn't about creative vision or returning to the show's roots. It was about money, control, and corporate decision-making that prioritized the bottom line over the magic that made MythBusters special. The departure of Kari, Grant, and Tory marked the beginning of the end for the show, which was canceled just 2 seasons later, never having recaptured the popularity of the build team era. What do you think? Was the network's decision a necessary business move, Or did they destroy something irreplaceable? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into television's most shocking behind-the-scenes decisions, make sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit that notification bell for more revealing stories from the world of entertainment. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.